Hello there my music lovers, I'm Josh from Audiophile-Heaven and today we're having a look at Hiby Air 2. This is a $100 DAP or digital audio player and it has Bluetooth, it has MSB equalizer, it has internet radio, it has Wi-Fi. It has everything you could ask for it. It has absolutely everything. There is nothing that's still missing from the Hiby Air 2. The DAP that will actually kinda replace BTR 5, BTR 3K and many other products in the sub $100 price range. So let's dig right into it! The Hiby Air 2 actually has a very basic package and when I first unboxed it I was kinda disappointed. I thought I had to give you another bad video review because it just didn't seem that interesting. There is the package, there is the Hiby Air 2 and there is a USB cable and that is pretty much all of the interesting stuff that comes with it. There is not a lot of extras, not a lot of fluff going with the Hiby Air 2. Although the case of the Hiby Air 2 is kinda interesting to me, the USB cable is very basic, it is not a Type-C to Type-C, although you can actually connect the Hiby Air 2 to a smartphone to get connection from your smartphone. So that is kinda missing, at least for me. Hiby Air 2 promises to have about 15 hours of playtime. I was able to measure around 12 hours, at the minimum I was able to get 10 hours, so if you turn on the Bluetooth, if you use Wi-Fi, if you listen very loud, those 15 hours are going to dwindle a bit to the lower side of things, but the Hiby Air 2 is quite ergonomic, quite tiny actually. It is a very smallish device, it is not huge by any means, although it actually is kinda cool being this small. And the last time I reviewed a $100 DAP which was interesting was the Timpotec V1A. After reviewing it, a lot of you guys have told me that it has a lot of build issues, it is not perfect. So I thought to myself that if another company makes another DAP that is that future rich, I'm going to give it a hard time before reviewing it. And this is what I did. This time with the Hiby Air 2, I actually listened to it for a while. I spent some time to figure out all of the bugs that come with it and I could find just one single bug in the entire device, just one bug. In an entire DAP that has so many features you are going to even forget it has them. You aren't going to use every single feature it has. Either you are going to purchase it to plan to connect it as a Bluetooth DAC and Bluetooth receiver. It can also act as a Bluetooth sender, so as a smartphone. It can actually work as a USB DAC for both your computer and your smartphone. It even has that MSB or equalization made by Hiby, which is incredibly useful, especially when you have a very affordable DAP and you want to connect to it some EMs that you don't really like at all. For example, some of those very bright and very V-shaped Hi-Fis are going to sound much better if you spend some time to use the MSB features on the Hiby Air 2. The device is very tiny and it is not very useful, not very practical for my hands. I have pretty largish hands and the device is one of the least things I like about it. Also, the device does not cover the whole screen, the device is only part of the screen, so the entire usage is almost perfect because the device is quite bright, it is an IPS display and it has a very colorful presence. Now, navigating the menus of the Hiby Air 2 is quite a pain and I will not make light of it, it is very painful to navigate it, it is almost impossible. I had a very hard time getting around things and just finding the now playing screen took me about 5 minutes and I know my way around apps, at least I hope so. So be careful when ordering it, be prepared to have to learn it. It has a pretty steep learning curve. It takes a while to get used to, it just takes a while. On the codec side of things, it can decode DSD, MQA and LDAC. At the moment I actually have it connected to my smartphone, which is the Xiaomi Poco F2 Pro, and I would say that even when using it through the LDAC codec, I can actually feel like I'm listening to an audiophile device. It has a ton of driving power, one of the most punchy sounds I have ever heard. It is better than FIO's BTR 3K and it stands a bit better than FIO M6 and FIO M5, although it is slightly below the FIO BTR 5. If you really need the best sonic quality you can get, FIO BTR 5 tends to be still a bit better than the Hiby Air 2. Hiby Air 2 can do so much more. There are so many things that I can do with this and so many things I can't can't do with the BTR5. I mean, with the BTR5, I'm basically stuck with either using it as USB DAC or using it as a Bluetooth DAC. Well, the Hiby R2 can do both, can do internet radio, can do streaming to it, it can do everything, it can do MQA, and that actually puts it, that kind of notes it. There is a dot there is a period. It just can do it. This is the thing with the Hiby R2. Hiby actually has other DAPs which are not quite as smart as the R2, and that is going to be a bit ironic, although Hiby RT Pro is quite a bit better than the Hiby R2 in terms of sonics. But in terms of actual ergonomics, this is a tiny device, this is a very handy device, and it is very simple to use, it is very practical. It is very practical. I can just use this, I will be happy with it. There is nothing more I need to think about when using the Hiby R2. One of the cool parts I've noticed while testing the Hiby R2 is the driving power. To test that, I was actually able to drive Hiby Sundara and the Harmonic Dyne Zeus from line Soul. So basically it can drive two of the hardest to drive affordable headphones that I know, because there are many other headphones it could drive, but the other ones are much more expensive. For example, Mr. Speaker's Ion Flow, which is a video I just posted at the moment I'm actually filming this video. That Mr. Speaker's is quite hard to drive, and it cannot really drive the Mr. Speaker's Ion Flow, but it can totally drive the Harmonic Dyne Zeus, it can totally drive Hiby Sundara and Sivga P2. So pretty much if you have an entry-level setup, you are set for fun with the Hiby R2. There are very few things that it won't do well, and one of those things is actually pairing with very sensitive EMs, because there are some faint traces of hissing with the Hiby R2, and I noticed that a few times, especially with very sensitive EMs. For example, Fio FA9 is quite sensitive to hiss, and I could notice a tiny bit of hiss, and that is a bit unpleasant with the Hiby R2, but at $100 I actually cannot really fault it very much for having just a tiny bit of hiss. I can actually live with it, it is below my typical listening level, no hissing is ever as loud as your listening level, that would be terrible. It would have to be a very poorly designed device to have the hissing levels as high as your main listening level. Usually it's just a bit of going on in the background. So Hiby R2 is quite good in that aspect. It has two microphones and it can even act as a recorder, which basically means that I could use it to replace my Rode NTG2 microphone, my recording setup, and everything else I'm using for video. It is not that great when it comes to the audio quality. Despite having two microphones, the audio quality is decent at best. I would probably use it to take some audio notes, but I would not use it to actually record music or record myself for a video. One of the things that was actually quite uncomfortable for me, and I actually expected it to be uncomfortable, is using the search function. If you are in browsing mode, I would always and only use the folder browsing mode with it, because having such a tiny display, browsing anything else but doing folder browsing is going to be a pain. For example, having the old songs and trying to find the song means using its awful, and I mean awful, keyboard. It does not have a QWERTY keyboard, it does not have one of those large keyboards. It has 9 buttons like a smartphone, so it is almost impossible to use the search function despite it being quite well implemented. And the only bug I could have noticed was while going into the wireless settings, going into the Bluetooth settings, and going into the Bluetooth volume. If you wait a bit, you will see that the name Bluetooth volume adjust kinda blurs out, and that is pretty terrible. It was one of the weirdest bugs I have seen. The DAP is so complete, it is so bug free, no volume drops, no random pops and noises, nothing, not a single breakdown on it. But yeah, that display is actually broken. It was quite fun to notice just one bug in such a complete DAP. I would totally recommend it if you have $100 and you don't know what DAP to get. It is actually the most complete, most stable DAP at the moment of making this video review. Not even Fio managed to make such a complete and such a stable DAP to date, because their DAPs, the older ones, were very stable but they were quite incomplete. The new ones are also very stable but quite incomplete. And then there's Tempotec. Tempotec made a very complete DAP with all of those features, including Nseb actually, but the one from Tempotec, the V1A, tends to be quite unstable. It tends to break down, it tends to do some odd things. So if you actually need stability, good design, beautiful ergonomics, beautiful aesthetics, a case included in the package, if you need all of those things, the Hiby R2 is a total recommendation from me, George at Audiophile-Heaven. I hope this video has been enjoyable to watch. I hope you love spending time on Audiophile-Heaven, both the YouTube channel and the website. If there is any way I can improve my videos, please let me know in the comments. If you have questions, also please comment. Please let me know how I can help you, because those videos are made for you guys. They are made so I can help you make better decisions. They are made so that I can be of some help to you. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely week in there. Don't forget to press that like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, subscribe to Audiophile-Heaven for more awesome content from me. I hope you have a lovely week in there, and we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye!